Welcome back. Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. We just got done traveling to Chicago, just a trip for the hubby and I. It was amazing, but we are back at it today. So I posted a poll today in my stories asking what you wanted to see the most of. And so far the winner is I'm a newbie. Get me started with 3D foundation. So that's what we're going to do today, and I'm going to jump right in so I don't waste any of your time. My name is Sami George, and I love teaching natural looking makeup, particularly for women that have skin concerns of some sort, because I got all the skin concerns, so I want to teach you all the tips and tricks so that you can be satisfied with your makeup, especially as you start to have some signs of maturing skin. And I know for me, that's when things got bothersome. So as you jump on, do me a favor and let me know whether you're watching this live or you're watching this on the replay. Are you new? And I would say new to 3D foundation is anything other than I could do it in my sleep. I got this down. So if you haven't purchased the makeup and you're curious, you just placed your order on St. Patrick's Day. Thank you so much for everybody who took advantage of the free golden goodie with purchase. This should be really helpful to you. Your makeup just arrived and you want to know what to do, or you started tinkering with it and you want to refine your application a little bit. This is the video for you. So how do you get started working with me as your artist? I'm an independent makeup artist with Seint Beauty, so I work one-on-one with my customers, providing you a personalized, customized color match, targeting all of the things that you tell me you want your makeup to do for you. What kind of coverage do you want? Do you have redness? Do you have dark circles? Do you have concerns about fine lines and wrinkles, rosacea, melasma, or no concerns at all? We are going to customize this to your needs so that your makeup performs the way that you want it to. Because I know when I hit about 35, I'm 40 years old now, my makeup wasn't doing it for me anymore, and I needed something different, so I found cream foundation. The beauty of creams as we age is that they do not dry down. They act as a second skin. So this is an occlusive product that sits on the skin. So what does that mean? Regular foundation, regular powder, they tend to have a lot of water loss during the day. It's a water-based product. So as we have our transepidermal water loss throughout the day, which is just the normal evaporation of water on the skin, what you're left with is pigment. So if you're using one of those products and you notice that you're getting a lot of cracking or your face feels very like cakey, and throughout the day, it looks really flat and one-colored. That's because of that water loss that's taking place. So when you use a cream foundation, it acts as a second skin, so it moves with your fine lines and wrinkles. It's not going to sit in your fine lines and wrinkles like another product would. And it has the ability to be blended and manipulated all throughout the day. So if you get too heavy-handed and you get too much under your eyes, because it's a cream and it hasn't dried down, you can just tap that out and it's like brand new. If you come home after a long day of work and you want to add to your makeup, you don't have to start over because your face isn't dry. It still has that same creamy texture to it, and you can blend new product right on top to just give it a finishing look to go out for the night. It's literally such an amazing way to think about makeup, especially 3D creams, meaning our face is three-dimensional, and our creams are going to leave it three-dimensional, add to that three-dimensional, not take away from it. So when you use a liquid foundation, you apply it everywhere, all over the face, and you have one color. Then you have to build other colors, contour, blush, bronzer, all those things back into your face, and you end up layering to get the natural colors that we have in our skin. With 3D foundation, you're going to use different products in different places just to mimic the natural three-dimensional look of our face, which keeps your skin youthful, it keeps it glowing, it doesn't age you, it'll actually kind of reverse the signs of aging because you're gonna have glowing, youthful looking skin all day long. And because it acts as a second skin, it holds moisture in. The more moisture we have in our skin, the less defined our fine lines and wrinkles look. So there's just an added bonus there, right? So how do you get started? In my bio, I have a link. In that link says color match. That color match is your personal kind of explanation of what you like in makeup. And if you don't know, that's okay. You can just say, it tells me what you find distracting on your face, if anything, and what your concerns are. And then at the end, you're going to take a makeup-free selfie, and that makes everybody really nervous, but that's just you and me, okay? This is me every day coming on here. You have all the makeup-free selfies in the world that you could want of me. I just need one good one of you, and I won't share it. I'll get rid of it when I'm done with it. But what I need to be able to see is what your skin looks like without makeup in natural light. So right now I'm sitting in front of a window. I'm about 3 feet back from the window, which is what you want to do. If you get too close, your skin's going to look blown out, really, really white. If you get too far back, we're going to start to cast shadows. So just go about 3 feet away from the window. Ideally, it would be great if I could see your neck and chest, because so many times when we wear one color on our face, then we have that floating head syndrome. The beauty of having multiple cream colors is that I can match you in a way that we can match your head to your neck to your chest and give you a really like all-inclusive, seamless look. So you're going to stand 3 feet from a window. You're going to make sure that your camera is clean. So just wipe off the camera lens. You'd be surprised until you do something like what I'm doing. You don't realize how dirty your phone is. But make sure your camera is clean. No overhead lighting. Right now I don't have anything on above me. If I did, it would start to cast shadows down my face. And then I wouldn't be able to see those colors. See how I already look so much more yellow than I naturally am? So you want to stand in front of a window. Don't go outside. Outside will distort your colors. Don't take it in your car. I get so many car selfies and I'm like, I'm sorry, I need another one. But you want to be in the house, 3 feet back from your window, hold your camera directly in front of your face, no makeup, and smile. So when you fill out your color match form, at the bottom it's going to say to submit your selfie. Go ahead and put your selfie in there, send it over to me, and I'm going to match you. What a match looks like is this. So I will pull up an example on here. So what your match is going to look like is something like this. This is how we explain kind of what like a 3-dimensional face looks like. And this is just an example of how you place colors. The key and what you're looking for is what your colors are, which I will have listed on this side for you. If and when you make a purchase, print this bad boy out, because when your makeup is in shipment, I want you to print this out, review the bottom, order of operations, but this is how you're going to set up your palette so you know easy peasy what you need to do. So after I break down what colors are going to match your skin tone, your undertones to take care of your concerns, you're going to get a beautiful little face map just like this. So I will mark up 2 things on your face. Blue will be discoloration. So what you tell me you are concerned about, I will mark up on your face because that is where you will put one of your shades, and I'll explain that in a minute. The yellow is your brightener, same thing. Based on what you tell me you want from your face, it will tell you exactly where to apply it. And then I have very, very detailed information on how you can apply, how you can troubleshoot. But the key is to watch this video, to print this off, to set up your palette, and just get going. You just have to start. My advice on starting, if you haven't used cream makeup before, and you haven't used cream makeup in specific locations on your face before, do it on a day where you don't have anywhere to go, especially if you're nervous. So pick a Saturday morning, give yourself an hour. I can do my whole face in 10 minutes. This makeup is super fast. That's part of the luxury of it. But when you're learning something new. So give yourself time so that you actually get started and you're not so nervous. So I printed that out, and now my beautiful makeup arrives in my box. It's probably not this big, but I bought a lot. We have our packaging label. Hold on to this. You'll have your brushes, you'll have your palette, and then your colors. And as you will see, these are small tins. They are meant to be small, okay? They will pop right into your palette. They are magnetic. So after you make your initial investment, you will only replace what you need at $16 a tin. It is crazy affordable. The upfront investment is like anything else. You have to make an investment to get started if you want like the full system. If you're like, I only care about these couple things, just tell me and we'll figure it out. But as you're replacing this, it's $16. And this, okay, so this is a blush. This is probably gonna last me 2 years. They say the shelf life's a year. I've probably had all of mine for 2 years. But when you're looking at your actual like main shades or your color correctors, this is a bronzer. That's probably a year. Do I have any? Okay, so this might be on here. Nope. Another blush. Apparently, we bought a lot of. Oh, I remember because I'm gonna do a giveaway soon. So, anyways, you're going to have tins about this size. Okay, this is an illuminator for your actual main shade, which would be considered your traditional foundation. That's going to last you 2 to 4 months. So So I know it looks small. It is highly pigmented. It is different than anything that you've used before, but you don't need to worry about like, oh, I'm going to be making a $16 investment every 3 weeks. You will not. Every 2 to 4 months, based on whether or not you like really natural coverage, whether you like full coverage, and how often you wear makeup. Not everybody wears makeup every day. I know I don't. Some days when I'm filming, I wear like 3 faces of makeup, but you know what I mean. So once you print out your form, now you're going to know how to set up your palette. Because what I want you to do is go in the order in which I have laid out your colors. So on that face map, on the left was a list. It starts with your color corrector, your main shade, your contour, and your brightener. Those 4 are listed first in that order. Pop them in your palette in that order. Then I have your lip and cheeks listed. Most people get, I don't know, 2. Bronzer, I always put my bronzer down here. I know I'm starting to go out of order of operation from that, but there's a method to my madness. These 4, they go in order. My bronzer I put down here, it's creamy, and sometimes when I'm sweeping and swiping a lot into it, I will get it onto the side of my palette. So I don't want to put it in the middle if I'm sweeping into it like this and have the color disperse out. So that's just little tricks of the trade. And then you have your illuminator. So what do we do now? You have your face map. You have your colors in your palette in the order in which they're listed out for you. Now let's just apply it. I want you to think about your application in these 4 steps. Discoloration, coverage, contour, brightening. Okay? So let's start with discoloration. I want you to take the small end of your blush and bronzer brush. This is likely the brush that I recommended for you to get started. And I want you to tap one time into your color corrector. It's the first shade in your tin or in your palette. And I want you to look at your face or look at the face map. Where did I put it in blue? But just look at your face and say, where do I have discoloration? And buff in circles into your discoloration. We are using, as you can see, that is not the color of my face, but it is the deepest color of my discoloration. And we always match discoloration with a darker color. You're probably used to concealing with a lighter and brighter color. We want to conceal as we age with a darker color. This will give you the best longevity with your makeup, the best coverage with your makeup, because we are matching tones. Do you need to know any of that? No, that's my job. But what I need you to know is, oh, she said start with discoloration. So 1 tap at a time, buffing in to discoloration. Areas that I was discolored are on my cheeks, where I have acne, I have a red chin, I have a scar on my nose, I have broken capillaries, and then under eyes. When I get to the areas that are smaller, under eyes, my nose, I'm going to take the smaller end of the detail brush, which is likely the second brush that I recommended for you, and I'm going to go in 1 tap at a time, and I'm just pressing on my discoloration that I have in those smaller areas. You could use your finger just as well. Some people don't like to touch their face. I am being very light-handed, especially in areas where I have fine lines and wrinkles. Less is more. Less is more, less is more, less is more. We are going to build up our coverage by putting a thin layer, not a lot of product. So Sami said start with discoloration. There we go. Discoloration. Done. Is there anywhere else that I still feel like I'm kind of still red? Tip of my chin still looks a little red. But overall, we've mitigated the majority of that redness. So what do we do now? First step, discoloration. Second step, coverage. Small end of the blush and bronzer brush. Second tin, coverage. 1 tap at a time. Go anywhere on the face that you want coverage. An area that's a must is where you put your color corrector, because your color corrector is more orange based. For some of you, it might be pink or brown based, but we want to provide coverage to that area, and we want it to match our neck. So you'll see this color is far more neutral, much closer to my neck than this color is. So I need to put this color anywhere that I color corrected. And instead of swirling or buffing, I'm only going to press and tap. Since I already put a color down, pressing and tapping will provide a thin layer that I'm kind of building up my coverage as opposed to just blending them both together. And I color corrected, meaning I put that color on my discoloration to tone it down. I don't want to blend this color into it. I want to put a little bit on top of it. So where did I put my coverage shade? I put it anywhere that I color corrected, which for me is a whole lot of my face. I want coverage here, okay? Even though I didn't color correct this strap of my chin on either side, but I do want coverage. I like how it looks. So the only area I haven't touched is above my eyebrows. And for me, I'm okay with that. This matches good enough that I don't need anything there. So all I'm gonna do is look at my face with my small brush and say, is there anywhere else that I wanna make sure that I got into those little nitty gritty areas? For me, that's always the eye, broken capillaries, my scar, and then I have this spot of hyperpigmentation, and I'm just building up my coverage, and I feel good about that. I'm going to tap a little bit more onto my acne. And I'm done. So I said discoloration step 1, coverage step 2. If you want to put coverage on your forehead, go for it. Next is contour. This is step 3. Back to the detail brush. I want you to realize that this is drier than these, meaning you got to work a little bit more to get the product onto it. Hello, friend. Welcome. You have to work a little bit more to get the product onto your brush, but it's that way intentionally because we don't want this to be super blendable. Contour work is more like precision work. So come in sideways and get it on half the brush. Where do we contour? We contour in the places that we naturally have shadows on our face. We naturally have shadows underneath our cheekbone, around the top of our forehead, underneath the jawline, and then you can create shadow down the nose for a slimmer or wider nose and under the lip to make your lip look bigger. We do that because we don't want a one-dimensional face. A lot of people are nervous about contour. And honestly, if you did this, if you covered your redness and you added coverage and you were like, I am good, you could pop on some blush and be done. This is your makeup. You do what you want with it. And then maybe every once in a while you want to go in and contour when you're feeling fancy. I contour every day because I feel like that is the part that really makes my face look youthful by adding the natural shadow. So where do you put it? Go to the top of your ear and hug the cheekbone. A lot of people go like this and they have this hollow. This is not where your cheekbone is. You can feel your cheekbone up here and really you want to stay on the top of the cheekbone. I'm at my ear and all I'm doing, like everything else, is pressing. Because I only put it on half the brush, I'm getting this nice contour line. And I'm stopping at the outer corner of my ear, of my eye, my ear, okay? Now, that looks a little crazy. So because I don't have any on the top of my brush, this is how I blend. I flick up, and since there's nothing on the top of my brush, it just creates this nice blend. And I can blend it as much or as little as I like. Here's a little pro tip for you. Don't over blend your contour to start, even if you think it looks crazy, because this makeup, being cream, it like warms up on the skin. I always tell people, you're going to do 80% of the work. The warmth of your skin is going to do the other 20% of the work. So we will have a final step where we will blend all this together at the end. Make sure we don't have any harsh lines, but just let it be for now. So do you see how I have some shadow in here now? So I've created a little bit of natural looking lift to my face, and I have added back in some dimension. If you were somebody that did not care about coverage in this area, remember we did cover our discoloration and then we added coverage, you could just use your contour because our contours provide coverage in the same way that our other highlights do. So putting coverage in this area was a matter of preference for me because I have redness that I covered up. If you don't, you can skip that altogether. and go right into that area with contour. Now, I'm just going to tap in the whole part of my brush here when I do my forehead. And all I'm doing is kind of carving out the natural hairline. Two things. If you are aging and you are starting to hollow in the temple area, meaning it's starting to like go inward, don't contour there. Contour causes our face to recede. It's the game of dark versus light. We want dark to pull back and we want light to come forward. This is what we want the eye to catch. That's why we have this three-dimensional look going on. So if this is already sinking in and you put contour there, it will sink in even more. It will look like it does, and you're probably trying to avoid that. If you have a thin forehead, meaning this way you don't have a lot of space, you can just stick up by the hairline. If you have a wide forehead, like I do, you can create a larger strip like I have, and then you can even go from the peaks of your eyebrow, right in here, and add a little bit of contour in this area, just to create a little more shadow. And now what do? We blend into the hairline, because we don't want to see that stripe there. Pulling up where I added a little bit on the side into the hairline. And we don't want any harsh lines here, so just go ahead and tap that down. Forehead contour for somebody with a larger forehead like me is one of my favorite things to do because it changes the look of my forehead so easily. Back into the brush, earlobe, underneath my jawline. Don't go on top of your jawline. Go underneath. On both sides, earlobe, underneath. You'll notice you have this divot here. Just put a little in there and now drag it down. No harsh lines. You could be done with contour there, or you could put a little under the lip. Why people contour under the lip? Because if this causes this to recede, then this causes your lip to pop forward and it looks like you have a fuller lip. I can use all the help with fullness in my lips that I can get. Okay? Anything that you're feeling like looks a little crazy, don't worry. We're going to do one blend at the end. Take care of all of it. Now let's talk about the nose. If you're somebody that wants a slimmer nose, you want to contour down the top of the bridge in 2 parallel stripes close together. If you have a thin nose and you want it to look wider, you're going to go on the sides of the bridge of the nose. My nose is wide, so I'm going to show you what I think is the easiest way to contour. Go ahead and put a little contour on your middle fingers and let your fingers touch on the bridge of your nose in between your eyes and drag it straight down all the way. And you'll see we have 2 thin stripes at the bottom. I'm going to blend that out a little bit. And I'm just going to leave that for now. Don't worry. We're not done yet. So let's say that's it for contour, okay? We've done all the contour parts. So what do we do now? Discoloration, check. Coverage, check. Contour, check. Brightener. So where do we put brightener? Brightener is that yellow area on your face map. It's likely in the forehead area, down the nose, so in the T-zone, the top of your lip, the middle of your chin, and then your eyes. If you have mature skin around the eyes like I do, detail brush, small end, tap it on the outer corner, a little bit of brightness, tap it on the inner corner. Do not tap right under the eye after you tap into your tin because you're going to deposit a lot of product in the most textured area. And here's the thing, when you're adding a lighter color to texture, it's more likely to show. We've done a really good job of covering up a lot of our discoloration, right? But I still don't want to do anything that's just going to naturally enhance the look of fine lines and wrinkles. And traditionally, you're probably used to putting a triangle of bright color under the eye. And as you age, if you're noticing that that starts to look a little bit texturized, or you're still noticing that like blue colors pop through, that's because you need to take care of the dark colors first and then be strategic. Inner corner, blend it down the nose. Always hug your contour line on your nose. Outer corner, now I've added nothing to the brush. I've added in my brightness without adding in a lot of product. So as I look at my eye, I still have a little bit in the tear trough that I want to take care of. So I have the lightest amount of product. And I'm tapping onto that one spot, and then I'm tapping out all what's left on the brush. Other side, outer corner, inner corner. And now I'm going to take that down my nose contour line. Now I'm starting to marry it into the middle, not going directly under the eye, but I'm going down by this tear trough. Now I'm starting to blend here. We're blending it together. Cream makeup has the motto, if it blends, it extends. So as I'm blending this, it is naturally going to work its way up under my eye. So if I have texture, I don't need to add to that. It's going to make its way up there anyways. I have a little bit of darkness here, teeniest tap. I'm going to press that coverage on. Just like in the photo that I send you, I'm going to add a little bit to the middle of the forehead, down my nose contour stripes, okay? Top of the lip, chin. Now let's blend it out. Tap, tap, tap. And those 4 shades make up your 3-dimensional foundation. They all provide coverage, and we have built up our coverage in thin layers. So now we've matched our dark undertones with our discoloration color. We've added coverage with our main shade. We've added coverage and dimension with our contour. And now we've added brightening with our brightening highlight. So when you're on the website, highlights are all of these colors. Regardless of their purpose, they're still called a highlight, and this one's called a contour. Before I move on to bronzer and lip and cheek, which will be in the next things in your order of operation, it's time to use the perfector. You will see this is the next step after brightener on your guided application. Why do we use this? Because it is likely that no matter how much you use that was super minimal, you probably have excess somewhere. So right now, to me, my color looks pretty, but it looks like makeup, and I want this to look like skin. So when I get ready in the morning and I put my my serums on my face, side note, when you are putting things on your face before 3D foundation, I want you to think about this a little bit differently than you have in the past. 1, no silicones in your products. If you have silicones in your products under your makeup, this is going to slip and slide off. Silicone is like putting Vaseline down first and then expecting a cream to stay, and it's not going to happen. It's going to move. But also, you won't need the same level of moisture underneath your makeup that you needed before. Because if you remember, when we were talking about liquid foundation drying down, the water evaporates and all you have left is pigment. This doesn't dry down. It holds your moisture in. So think about less is more under the makeup too. Unless you are incredibly, incredibly dry, try this without a moisturizer. If you really feel like you need to try it with a moisturizer, make sure your moisturizer is silicone free. You likely do not need a primer at all. And I know that people love primers, okay? If you love primer, make sure it's silicone free. But I encourage you to try it without anything underneath except like a serum or something, if that's part like vitamin C or hyaluronic acid. If those are part of your morning routine, go for it. So when I'm putting on my hyaluronic acid in the morning, which also has vitamin C, I have a peptide mix, not vitamin C, I have a peptide mix on it, then I get my perfector ready. So what does that mean? I have this in the bathroom. It's dirty from the day before because I don't do anything after I put my makeup on. So it's sitting in the bathroom. I either have a Dawn spray bottle or a cheap face wash. I spray it and then I put it under the water and I make sure that I'm squeezing all that soap out so I'm getting it clean, but I'm also expanding it in size. I wish I could find you my other one. This is double the size of when it's dry. You know that this is ready when you've doubled it in size, then you take it out of the water, you squeeze all the water out of it. Then I set mine in a towel, squeeze it one more time in a microfiber cloth or your face towel, whatever it is, and I just let it sit there while I do my hair and while I'm doing my makeup. It's ready now because it's damp and it's cold, but it's not wet. If this is wet when you use it, like dripping wet or like you notice you put it on your face and you feel the wetness, it's just going to like smudge your makeup around or take it off. You want it to be damp and cool. You don't want it to be wet. And all I'm going to do is pounce this onto the areas of my face where I layered color or where I'm prone to creasing. I layered under my eye, in between my eyebrows, smile lines. Okay, that's where I'm prone to creasing. You can already see that this side looks more natural than this side. Where else do I do it? Anywhere that I want to make sure that I blur makeup lines, like my nose contour, okay? Now I don't have those lines anymore. I just have the contour line. So if you felt like it was too harsh, remember I said no worries? That's okay. We're blending. And I layered here where I have that acne. Onto the other side. And I'm just rotating this so I can make sure that it feels cold. Contour line, smile lines, contour line. I basically stamp this all over because I want to make sure that my colors are married together really well and that I have removed all excess product. And that's it. Now, before I go into anything else, I look and I say, do I need any more coverage? So, eyes look okay. My hyperpigmentation looks like it's sticking out a little bit still. So I'm still taking small end of the detail brush, little tap into my main shade. I'm just going to press a little bit on. Make sure I got that guy covered up. The other area is this scar, always. Putting it in between my contour lines on the outside. Now, as somebody with acne, I am going to take a smaller brush and I'm going to go into my main shade and give myself a little more coverage. If I wasn't doing this to show you all the tips and tricks, I'd probably just roll with it. Like, my acne bothers me a lot. A lot of this is scarring. But I'm not looking for full coverage on the daily. I just want it to be less distracting. And for me, that's pretty good. So what do we have left? Bronzer, illuminator, and lip and cheek. So let's go lip and cheek next. Where does your lip and cheek go? Goes on your lips, right? You can contour your lips out if you want. We're just being fast. This is the color Nude. I love it. And it goes on your cheeks. 2 fingers away from the nostril. Back to the blush and bronzer brush. Blush end. Tap it on. Just want to be able to see a little bit of product. Not a lot. Less is more. 2 fingers out. And hug the contour line. You want to go 2 fingers out from the nose so that you don't get any in these lines right here. We hug the contour line because we are creating a lifted look. So hug that line up. So my face, I have a lot of fullness in my cheeks. So I stick to the outer part of the apples of my cheeks. If you do not have a lot of fullness or you want to create more fullness, go 1 finger. And now you've created more fullness in the face. Stay away from this line still. But go to that cheek. Tap, tap. 2 fingers. Hug that line. This is Nude. Same colors I have on my lips. And there we go. Nude is a matte. I should match this side because it looks a little crazy when it's not matching, right? A little onto the apple of my cheek to make it more full. All right, so let's say, like right now, my line needs to be cleaned up a little bit. I'm just touching my main shade around the perimeter and fixing that up a little bit. Because creams are all the same medium, meaning they're all cream. All parts of this are cream. You can go in at any point and touch anything up. Like, oh, I want more defined contour line. Go back in, add a little more. That is the beauty of this, and you can do this 8 hours later. Like I was saying, you could come home from work and want to add a little bit to your makeup and not have to do anything but start. There we go. I'm going to add a little Summer Love on top. Why? One, I like to mix shades. I think it's super fun. But also, nude is it's called a satin on our website. Satin means matte. Summer Love is a gloss. It's a very faint mauve rosy pink. It's beautiful. Alone, it doesn't add a lot of color, just a sheer wash of color. But when I put that over, see how it glows now? Because it has that gloss finish to it. So I can get the really nice color payoff of nude and add a little bit of Summer Love as a gloss over top. I love gloss on the lips. And that's it. So what do we have left? On to bronzer. Blush and bronzer brush, big end. Bronzer is the creamiest of all of your colors. It's going to be super creamy when you open it. So why do I tell you that? Because if you dip really hard, you're going to get a whole bunch on here, and then you're going to have like a giant like dark mark here. If that's the case, just keep tapping. It will blend away. But right now I'm just going to tap lightly. Once it's in your palette for a while, it'll start to dry a little bit, so it won't be as creamy. But I'm just adding this in a C shape where the sun would naturally hit. I'm avoiding my temple area because I don't want to put a dark color there because I already have a little bit of a recession there. If that is not your issue, you can just go right on in like this. You see how much we just have this glow right here now? Lovely. Bring your bronzer down your neck. One of the best ways to get your head and your chest to match is by adding bronzer to the neck. Because our chin sticks out, our necks are almost always lighter than our face and our chest. So a lot of people tell me that they want to match their neck. One of the easiest ways to do that is to just add a little bit of bronzer. And now everything kind of matches, especially in the summer when you start to get bronze on the face from the sun, but you still have quite a lot of like white or yellow undertones in the neck because your chin has covered up so much of your neck when you're laying outside tanning, right? That's one of the easiest ways to do it. I'm going to show you a little trick. So let's say right now my head was darker than my neck, okay? It's not. We're matched pretty well. But let's say that it was. What can you do if your head is darker than your neck and you feel like you have a floating head? Take your brightener, blush end of the blush bronzer, and bring it down the jawline to lighten the jawline. So by lightening my jawline, if my head was too dark for my neck, I've now created some lightness to match all of that in, okay? I don't have that issue, but you could see from one side to the other that I need to put a little something here now to match. But a lot of people do, so that's one of the things that you can do to get your face to match your neck if your neck and chest are lighter than your face. So all we have left is illuminator. So what do we do with illuminator? In the traditional world, if you've heard of highlighter, it's the same deal. I like to take my perfector sponge. You can use a finger, you can use a brush, but because I have a lot of texture on my face, and remember, light comes forward. So a lot of texture in this area. I do not want to bring that forward. And this is basically the purpose of this is to reflect light. So because I want to really control where I'm putting it, this is the only thing I'm going to tell you to sweep into. Everything else, you tap. This I'm going to sweep. I'm going to squeeze my sponge together, and I'm just going to go to that highest point of my cheekbone, and I'm going to add that illumination in, but I'm keeping it below my crow's feet. See how you just get that little bit of glow? Where else can you add it? Down the nose. Top of the lip. You can go on the chin. This one is one of our perfume ones. I love it. So I go behind the ear. You can go with your perfume, or regular if you're wearing a shirt where you can see it, and put it on the collarbone. And it's just going to add a wonderful little bit of glow. Just because I like the smell. Perfect. And that's it, you guys. That's the basics of 3D foundation. Setting up your palette to match the color match that I sent you. And here's the thing. There are no names that you can see. That's the value of setting up your palette in the order in which you're going to use them, in the order in which I gave them to you on your color match. But here's a little trick. If you take your purchase order, this is a sticker, or your packing slip, it's a sticker. So if you want to, okay, you could go in where this says highlight, candlelit, and you could cut this out. And then you could put it onto the side of your palette, if that helps you. And then you'll know what colors are where. But trust me, if you're following the same order, discoloration, coverage, contour, brightener, every single time, just by putting them in order, you're going to know them super fast. It's just different. If you decide that you want eyeshadows and you want powder eyeshadows, I recommend putting all your powders on the second level. Heaven forbid you ever drop this and you break a powder. You don't want your powder to break in here and then get stuck in all your creams. In addition to my eyeshadows here, I also have my setting powder. So Seint has 2 different products to set your face with. If you're somebody who wants to set areas that typically get oily or you feel shiny, the Vanilla Dust setting powder will mattify those areas and it will help with creasing if you apply it really, really lightly. If you put a heavy powder on top of a cream, it's just going to look cakey. I personally avoid my under eyes and my smile lines, and instead, if I get a little bit of creasing throughout the day, I just take my finger, the warmth of my finger gets rid of the crease right away. It doesn't bother me if I have to do that every once in a while. I'm very light-handed and I used my perfector, so it's very infrequent that that happens, but if it does, that's my preference. We also have a setting spray. So this one will make the face look dewy and set your makeup as well. Shake it up, spray it. It has a very direct spray, so hold it back, spray it. You're only supposed to spray it a couple times, unlike, one of these bottles where it kind of is like, if you like the, then transfer it into here. I had to transfer one of my bottles in here because I broke my bottle. But it's meant to be more direct, to just spray a couple times on the face. If I use something like this, it's such a fine mist that I have to do it like 8-10 times to cover the face. This, I would say, I can probably get it in about 4. Like I just kind of go quadrants of the face. This will leave you dewy. This will leave you matte. On the daily, I don't use either, but if I am going to be wearing my makeup for 8+ hours in the sun, I use Vanilla Dust to make sure. Hey, thank you. I use the Vanilla Dust to make sure that I'm going to keep oil at bay. So that's it, friends. That's everything that I have for you today. I hope you found that helpful. If you are new to Seint, that's kind of the order in which I would go in. Fill out a color match. Find out if this is going to be a good fit for you. There is no pressure. I'm going to follow up with you as a service to ask if you have questions and if there's anything else that I can do for you. I'm not going to follow up and say like, so are you ready to order? Are you ready to order? I'm not going to do that. I want you to make this purchase because you see value in what this can do for you. And until that value is created, ask the questions that you have and then let me know what additional information that you need. And if you have all the information that you need, you can make a buying decision. Whether that's to buy or to not, that's okay. But until you get the info, you're never going to know. So fill out the color match. Allow me to show you what your face map would be. And then if you do make a purchase, follow that face map to set up your palette. And then follow the order of operations from how you set it up in this discoloration, coverage, contour, brightener, and everything else. Like lip and cheek is just an added bonus to add some color to your face. So that's it. I hope you found this helpful. Again, please comment as you watch this, whether you are new or whether you are one of my OGs and you've been using this for a while. Hopefully you found a new tip or trick if you did watch all the way through. I always appreciate you for being here, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.